Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Queen. In today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how I made the skirt, let's say the down part of this dress. So in my last video, I told you I was going to share how I cut it. So this video is all about cutting it. Okay guys, so I have folded my fabric into two, and the width of what I folded is 17 all through. Okay, so I'm going to be rolling across the edge of my starting point. So from that part, I'm going to measure my waist. So the waist I'm working with is 34 divided by 4, it's giving me 8.5 plus 1.5 seam allowance, that's 9, and that's 10. So from 10, what I'm doing now is taking my tape rule up to 16. 16 is my waist length, so 16 is where my skirt will be joining to my front bodies. So from that part, I'll be rolling across the hip line and the knee length line. So from 16 to 24 is just the standard for the hip length. That's the hip length, is just a standard, and that's what I'll be using, and it works for me. So 24, I'll be measuring my hip, and I use 35 for the knee length. So I just want the shaping to start from 35. So I'm going to label it. This is my hip line and my knee length line. So on my hip line, I'll be measuring 12.5. 44 divided by 4 plus 1.5 is giving me 12.5. And on my knee length, I'm going to use what I have on my waist is 10, and I'm going to just go ahead to mark 10. You can decide to add 1 more inches to, or even reduce, but I'm okay with this. It's going to give me the shape I want, and so the person can walk freely as well. Okay, so the next thing for me to do now is to connect the line from my hip line. I'm going to connect down to my from my waistline. I'll connect down to my hip line and then to my knee line. Then just try to check it so you can see clearly. And from that point, my knee length, I'm going to be rolling across to the end of my fabric. That's to the 17 inches I folded. So I'm just rolling like that, since it's a mermaid that I'm making. Okay, the next thing for me to do now is to go ahead and cut. To cut the back, I'll be placing the front on the another folded fabric, just as I folded the first one, but this time around I'll be adding 2 inch at the front for my zipper. So what I did here was just to shape my zipper parts. I just shaped it and I'm cutting it out. So from that part, I'm going to trace out my back. So it's so simple. The space in the front is for my zipper allowance, and then I'm just maintaining the cut. But don't forget, on the knee length, please, it's not very sharp. Just try to make that part curvy, not a sharp edge. And if you cut a sharp, make sure when you're sewing you give it a curvy kind of shape, because or if you make it point, then you can just make sure you notch so you can have a nice fitting. Shape this part to continue the shaping I started earlier. So once this is done, the next thing for me to do is to go ahead to cut the lining. So I have folded my lining and I'm placing the front panel first to cut my lining, just the way I folded the first one. That's the main fabric. I'm just trying to cut out the lining, but then my lining is going to be 2 inches shorter than my main fabric length. This is for turnover. I'm going to be turning my lining over from the down, so I can have Cara finishing instead of the lining showing out from my fabric. So that's the essence of my lining being shorter. Okay, so I have folded the down of my fabric. I folded by 1.5 1 inch to the other, that's 2 inch. So I'm going to be taking out that 2 inch from my lining length. I don't know if you understand. I'm taking out. Let me cut it and show you. So once I'm done cutting it, I place my fabric down. You will see that my fabric is 2 inches longer than the lining. You can see. So by the time I sew, I'm just going to be flipping my Ankara like so, and then sew through that part. Then I have a nice finishing on the inside. So I'll go ahead to do the same thing for the back, and then open the folded part up for my zipper space. Okay, so this is how it looks like, just as we did for the front. So it's just the same thing. The next thing for me to do now is to go ahead to cut my godet. So that's the back tail. To cut the tail, I just folded my fabric into two, and the length is around 30 inches. You can just go ahead by whatever you want. You can make it lesser or more depending on the fabric you have available. So the next thing, I want my godet to start at 35, so I marked 35 from up, and the length could be as long as whatever it is that you want. So that's just a guide for my godet. That's the starting point, and from that part I'm going to be measuring 1 inches. So I'm just trying to measure 1 inches, and from there I'm going to roll across to the end of the fabric. Okay, so I'm just trying to roll to the end of the fabric like so. Okay, and once I'm done, I'll do the cutting. Okay, so I decided to roll another line, as the first line I roll is not as wide as what I want. So and the measurement is from 35 to the length I want, and from the end, that part there, I'm going to be curving it down to the end of the. So I'll just curve it to the end of the fabric, as in to the end of the fabric, just like I'm doing it. Okay, so I don't know if you can see. So I'm just trying to give it a curve shape, and then I'll go ahead to cut it. Give it any shape you want, but it's better this way. Just curve. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so this is what we have, and then I'll go ahead to cut my lining like so. Okay, so it's so full at the down, it's so full, and I am just liking it even as it is already. Okay, so I folded my lining. I was just trying to align it, and then I'll go ahead to cut my lining as well, and then use it to turn it over as well. Okay guys, if you watched this video to this extent and you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please do subscribe, like, comment and share. I'll be in this comment section waiting for your question, and if there's any video you want me to do, I'll be glad to share. All right guys, so after this, the next thing I did was to go ahead to join them. I just turned them over, I gave it a nice ironing, and then I joined my skirt and added my godet to the back of my skirt. Okay guys, so this is the skirt. I've gone ahead to join it behind the camera. I've done the joining, and I've left my space for the godet. So here is the godet that we cut. I've also torn it out and I'm going to be fixing it to the back now. So at that point where I stop, I actually increase my opening to 34. Okay, so 35 was my knee length, so I just made it 33 on it all. So from 33 was where I added my godet, because I wanted to be very high at the back and to give a beautiful styling. So flip my skirts to the back, and now I'm going to be adding my godet to it. So I'm just trying to align it and see it. Okay, and that space is the space I left for my zipper, so I'll be fixing my zipper at this part here. Okay guys, so you can use an office pin to secure the godet to the skirt before you take it to your sewing machine, or if you're good, you can just go ahead and stitch it like that. So I'll be taking it to my sewing machine now and do the stitching. So I'll be showing you so you can see. So this is what is looking like. It's looking so neat. There's not any part that is rumpled, everywhere is laying flat. So what makes nice for me to go ahead to open all the stitches inside and give it a flat ironing. So guys, we have come to the end of the video on the making of this beautiful dress. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. So see you in my next video, and bye.